But our wide receiver one, Amon-Ra St. Brown, leading the league in receiving touchdowns at 7.
Yeah.
So
went from 6 to 7.
Yeah.
He's not too bad either.
okay, Zoomer. Hey, Gen Alpha.
No, that was great.
Hey, kids.
Yeah.
Fellow kids, how's it going?
Yeah, right.
You guys have seen that part of his podcast today, right?
No.
They brought that up, the 6-7.
Jesus Christ.
But
No.
they both go, I don't know what it means.
Outside the den, inside the barn. Motor City Pride. We've been waiting long. Mic check 1, 2, podcast booth tight. Been breaking down plays every Sunday night. From the den, we step to the bar, we roll. Analyzing film clips, how the stories told. Lions on the rise.
Welcome, One Pride, to episode 8 of our bye-week spectacular of Outside the Den, Inside the Barn, the podcast made for Lions fans, made by us, Lions fans. I'm Jake. Right next to me is cousin Lyle. There's my big brother Josh right down there. Expecting a call from Breaking Brad maybe later in the program, as well as a crazy play call on a bye week. And they're not playing football,
right?
By our resident father figure over there, Crazy Play Steve. But yeah, so we're coming into the game today, or the podcast today. I'm sure we're all feeling some type of way. And before we get to that, let's just talk about the term of the week.
I pass the knowledge down to you. Break it simple, make it true. Every week we build and
What
grow.
is a bye week?
I was going to say, that's the one we should cover.
You know, we did not,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, we're just on the
talk
same
amongst each
wavelength.
other about it. But the bye week is simple. It is a bye week, right? It is a week of no football. They get a bye. They do not play anybody. Every NFL team gets a bye week in the season. Last year, the Lions had it very early in week 5, which was the first week you could have a bye week last year. This year, they're getting it roughly smack dab in the middle of the season. And right now, it's very needed. The Lions secondary especially is very depleted. We obviously had Brian Branch serving a 1-game suspension this past Monday night. And as well as just they need to rest up, right? They've had some players kind of playing on the lower end of their potential, but the biggest thing is injuries and just letting this, especially secondary, even though we'll get to it shortly, we saw some pretty spectacular play out of our secondary this past week. But yeah, so it is a bye week. It is a week of no football, or a week of no football games for that specific team, which our specific team is obviously our Detroit Lions. And that is your term of the week, the bye week. A lot of new football fans out there in the world right now. I know my lovely girlfriend, Kaylin, love you, girl. She might not be able to say what a bye week is, but that's because she really only started watching more regularly since dating me. But
And I mean, fact of the matter is the bye week is still, in terms of how the NFL goes, is still pretty relatively new. It used to be the teams would play, it used to be, 14 games straight, and then it became 16 games straight, and then the NFL started to say, hey, we want to put in even more games, and the Players Association said, well, we're going to need a break in there if we're going to do that.
Yeah.
And the NFL said, oh, you mean extend the season? Absolutely. So they
like,
get a
I
chance
don't kind of missed the assignment right there, an MA right there. But yeah, so everybody gets high schoolers, college kids get spring break, winter break. NFL players get a week, the bye week. And that was your term of the week this week.
Montgomery running through the defensive wall. St. Brown catching every single call. Playoff.
All right, so this past Monday night, the Detroit Lions defeated the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 24-9. A little bit on the lower end. And Josh and I were there at the game. Lyle, I know you were watching from home. But yeah, so how were you guys feeling after our Monday night primetime game? We'll start with you. Lyle.
Yeah, I think your text,
Lyle.
said it all right there with, during the game. So
just it was obviously great to get a win there. It was a frustrating game, and I think that just in terms of getting a win and having a lead like that, you'd feel like, okay, well, I'm enjoying this, everything's going well. But the Buccaneers, they do a great job of really scrapping, and they're difficult to play against. I know for some reason Jared Goff doesn't seem to have his best games against the Buccaneers defense, and So it was sometimes we got that lead, everything, we came out, scored those first 7 points. Okay, here we go. It's the track meet that we were talking about. I'm picking 34-24. You're picking 34-21.
31-28. Yeah.
All those numbers get to start to pile up, but then it just kind of bogs down, and there's some things, and obviously the best thing is that a beautiful game doesn't always necessarily have to be an offensive explosion. It can be, you can have a beautiful game with your defense, and it was really beautiful the way that the defense just kept coming up time and again and making plays. I kept expecting, okay, there's going to be a let up at some point. There's going to be something that happens, and they just can't keep this up the way they're doing. But for me, they did, and the fact that they were able to do it through 4 quarters and really at the end of that game just kind of choked the life out of a MVP candidate that everybody was talking about to a point where he looked like old Baker Mayfield, the one that was getting kicked around to a couple of different teams, was really spectacular. So proud of my team, proud of the way they did. They ended that game, and proud to be going into the bye feeling good and ready for them to heal up, get some players back, and really make a second half push here.
Yeah. Josh.
Yeah, just the secondary alone. Their play, you've heard it on 97
down 5 of our 6 top corners. Yeah,
the Legion of Whom, the replacements. It's fitting that the Lions they have a in stadium they have the team kind of intro song, and it's almost fitting that they would do something like this.
I'm a lion, I'm a hunter, eyes on the prey.
Right,
Do you know my name?
All right.
My name is Legend.
All right. Want to remind YouTube here that we make zero money off of this. We are not monetized.
Yeah, I'll trim that
just
down.
Just keep that in mind, YouTube, before you demonetize anything. There's nothing to demonetize. We're doing this for fun. Yeah. Go ahead, Josh.
But anyways, yeah. So I mean, coming in, we knew a couple of guys since they've been on the team for a while. Meek and Rock and those guys, but there's other names like, okay, who are these guys? And I tell you, one of my favorite plays though that Amik had, he looked like he got burnt, and the ball was going into the end zone. He literally, as soon as he saw the wide receiver turn to go catch the ball, he did this number, hit him in the back. Touchdown saving deflected pass. So Terrian probably would have got called for, unfortunately. But
a couple of years ago that used to be called face guarding. That used to be a penalty, and apparently you can't face guard anymore. Apparently they don't call it, or they call it so sparingly.
I think they took it out. I think as long as you're not making contact with the player and impeding their progress, that's always what they're seemingly concerned with now. But waving and blocking his view and everything like that, I think you're good to go these days.
Yeah, I mean, he's got he's got the leverage on you because he's looking for the ball. He knows where it's going. And so they take the defense, out of the game by basically removing anything they can do. I mean, we'll get into that in a little bit too about, the peanut punch. I mean, come on. There's got to be something that the defense can do besides just intercepting a completely wide open ball or sacking the quarterback. There's got, and even that is at risk now. So, but anyways, the secondary came in, they played lights out. Obviously them getting a game ball from coach was great. And Gibbs, wow.
Speaking of which, Jahmyr Gibbs, monster game, offensive player of the year type of performance this past week. 17 carries on the ground for 136 yards, 2 tutties, as well as 3 catches for 82 yards, including that. I don't know if it's a career high or season. It's definitely a season high, but 78-yard touchdown run. Little fun fact about that. I don't know if you guys remember his rookie season, that magical 2022 season where the Lions won their first playoff game, first 2 playoff games since the 90s. That was
before you were born.
It was before I was born. But Antoine Winfield, very good safety in the National Football League. Jahmyr Gibbs scored a touchdown in that playoff game against the Buccaneers that he outran Antoine Winfield, couldn't catch him, and he looked right back at him. He didn't look back and taunt him nearly as much. There was almost a taunting call in that playoff game, but did it exactly to Antoine Winfield again. And, shout out Janky Rondo on YouTube and Twitch. But as he says, when you see the back of Jahmyr Gibbs' dreads, just go right to the sideline. You're not catching that. You're not catching that fool.
But I think 22.3 or something like that. What was the mile per hour?
Oh, yeah.
20. It was like 22.2. He has the two fastest times or speeds of a play in the league so far. The third place person is at like 21.2. Yeah. So he hasn't beat by a full mile per hour.
I think he probably didn't have to look back at Antoine and taunt him this time because he knows that Antoine's going to be seeing him in his nightmares from now on. He just does not want to see number 26 or number 0 coming his way anymore.
Yeah. Ford Field was rocking. I think
loud.
It was very loud. A couple bursts of cheers, yells, screams, whatever did affect them. The couple false starts. It was great.
And you guys were at the stadium, so just to let you know on the broadcast, I mean, they were constantly commenting about how Baker couldn't hear, Baker covering the ear holes just to get the call in. So, I mean, they were doing it right from they weren't waiting for them to line up. You guys were giving them the voice, as soon as they signaled that it's time to play again. So, good job by you guys.
I'm assuming
that you had them.
Yeah, I'm going to have to pull one out of Dad's playbook and start wearing earplugs because this left ear, I think there's at least a little bit of stress.
A little bit of tinnitus, yeah.
Yeah. So
we talked to him too because he needed it. He needed something to plug in his ears. So I think next home game we'll probably get him some earplugs. But defense played great. Big shout out to the defensive line as well. I mean, Baker very rarely had a clean pocket.
0
They took hits.
Rushes.
0 rushes from Baker, which is I mean, he has been he's my favorite non-Detroit line in the league right now.
Not this week.
Well, it wasn't that week. He can be my favorite non-Lion going into this bye week. I don't care. But he can extend plays. They stopped that from happening. Jack Campbell was spying him. They'd call that in the podcast last week. And did a great job doing so. But you could tell Baker was shook up. He was frustrated that he couldn't get his play calls. He probably tried to kill some plays, and that miscommunication happened. But the defensive line beat the crap out of him. Big return of the Mac, Aleem McNeil coming back. He had a heck of an impact.
First play of the game.
First play of the game, he just blew it up. It was awesome. Then you got obviously Tyleik Williams is really coming into his own. I'm incredibly impressed with what I'm seeing from him. DJ Reader just continues to be a stud. And, I saw the statistic that, and this I think really helped out the offense entirely, was because Cade Otton made a couple nice plays, but you're going to make a couple nice plays in the National Football League. He's a very good tight end, and Baker was a MVP candidate. But, I mean, somebody had to chip Hutchinson, and they ended up chipping him on 49% of his snaps, which is an astronomically high number. But there were some times where he bull rushed the tackle. As soon as the ball was snapped, the tackle was backpedaling right into Baker. So, I mean, there were a couple sacks, not a ton, but the pressure was there.
4, I thought. Didn't I hear 4?
Yep.
Yeah. There should have been more, but at the end of the day, Baker overthrew his guys a lot. Obviously, prayers to Mike Evans. Hopefully, broken collarbone and concussion, it sounds like. So hopefully, obviously he'll probably be done for the season. He's on the older end of his career. So hopefully, he makes a full recovery if he decides to come back next year. Good player. So that's unfortunate for the Buccaneers. But, the Buccaneers, to them, this was a must-win game. I mean, the biggest thing about this is, this has serious playoff seeding, implications. A lot of this could help break a bunch of tiebreakers. And obviously the Lions losing to the Chiefs last week, and this really, really became a must-win game for them this time around. This was a statement game. This was a revenge game from last year. And the offense stalled out a bit, and Jahmyr Gibbs was kind of in Amon-Ra St. Brown's first half as well, which we'll get to that. We'll reference it shortly later in the episode. But
I do have a synopsis.
Yeah. No? Okay. I'm excited for that. So it was a great game to watch. Somebody who played a lot of defense. It was great to see just each of the defensive units really stand out and make some really big plays. A lot of big stops. And sometimes you need one side of the ball to help you win the game, because Todd Bowles for the Buccaneers is a great defensive mind, seems to coach pretty good against the Lions. They make it hard for Jared Goff and the rest of that offense, but at the end of the day, that +1 to the win column is the most important stat of the day, and I'm just happy that we're 5-2 going into this bye week.
Well, especially
Ding.
with the with the competitiveness that it seems to be
Yeah.
for the NFC this year. I mean, 5-2 is just putting us right in the middle of a big pack right now. So we'll see how the rest of it goes. But huge win.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the NFC is going to be the premier conference this year. I mean, the Chiefs have really righted the ship, at least as far as they're going. Obviously, getting Rashee Rice back has been huge for them. But because for the years, the AFC has kind of been the powerhouse one. But with all the injuries that have happened, just the poor performances we're seeing, I mean, Denver should be a better team than they are, and they're losing tough games here. You know, the Steelers
Squeaking by the
lost to
Giants,
Joe
man.
Flacco and the Bengals. It's crazy. Joe Flacco doing it again for a different team. But, yeah, so I think I speak for all of us. We're feeling pretty good after Monday night.
Yeah, though don't we have to root for Rodgers this week?
I just won't watch the game. They play the Pack this week, right?
Right,
Yeah. So, all right. I hate rooting for them so much.
We interrupt this podcast for a reflection or an exaltation, if you will, on the previous game. We had the rant last week, and didn't really have much to rant about. I was going to start out with, just that it seems like the NFL doubled or tripled down on the Lions, fining our guys for ticky-tack stuff and, just ignoring the fact of everything the Kansas City Chiefs did. And then on top of it, you got all the social media people saying, stop whining, blah, blah, blah. We're Lions fans. We've been here. We've seen so many rules put into the rule book based off of what happened in our games that we have to say something because we're getting tired of it. But that aside, here's the exaltation. The Detroit Lions didn't just win. They orchestrated a symphony of defensive dominance and offensive fireworks in a 24-9 Monday Night Football masterpiece over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The secondary, they played like MI6 agents in cleats. All right, folks, let's break this down like a Fibonacci sequence on Red Bull. The Detroit Lions came into Ford Field Monday night looking like they had just binge-watched Braveheart and decided freedom wasn't enough. They wanted vengeance, validation, and a little bit of vintage Motor City mojo. And boy, did they deliver. The defense, forget bend, don't break. This crew didn't even bend. They were tighter than a drum in a marching band led by John Philip Sousa. Baker Mayfield, who's been tossing fourth-quarter comebacks like he's auditioning for a reboot of The Natural, got smothered like a baked potato at a tailgate. The Lions held Tampa Bay to just 252 total yards, forced punts on the Bucs' first 5 possessions, and didn't even let them sniff the end zone until the third quarter. In the secondary, they were like TSA agents with a vendetta. Nothing got through. Despite injuries to their defensive backs, Detroit's coverage was so sticky it could have doubled as duct tape. They blanketed receivers like grandma's quilt in January. And even with Mike Evans limping back into action, the Bucs' air game was grounded like a teenager caught sneaking out. Now let's talk highlights, because this wasn't just a win. It was a highlight reel with a soundtrack of roaring fans and crunching pads. Jared Goff hit Amon-Ra St. Brown for a 27-yard laser-guided missile of a touchdown in the first quarter that looked like it was drawn up by Da Vinci himself. Jahmyr Gibbs, oh mama, this guy ran like he had a jetpack strapped to his back. A 78-yard touchdown sprint in the second quarter that made Tampa's defense look like they were running in molasses. And just to flex, Gibbs added another TD in the third quarter and racked up over 200 scrimmage yards, like he was playing Madden on rookie mode. Jake Bates nailed a 58-yard field goal in the fourth. It bounced around like a pinball, but it still made it. This wasn't just a win, it was a statement. The Lions are no longer the punchline of the NFC North. They're the ones writing the jokes now. And the setup is, what happens when you underestimate Detroit? The punchline, you get beat like a drum in the drum line. So here's to the Lions, who played like they were auditioning for a role in 300, only with more helmets and fewer sandals. If this keeps up, the road to the NFC Championship might just run through Ford Field. And if you're a Bucs fan, well, maybe next time bring a parachute, because the Lions just dropped you from cruising altitude. And that's just my opinion. I could be right. Now back to your regularly scheduled podcast.
It's breaking now, or was it breaking in? It's breaking bread. Okay.
And on the line, we have Breaking Brad. Breaking Brad, how's it
Breaking Brad. Cooking
Good.
today.
How's everybody doing?
Pretty good.
Feeling pretty good.
Feeling
everyone.
fine.
But the bigger question we want to know, Brad, is how are you feeling after that Monday night victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
It was great actually, but it's funny. I mentioned this on another podcast, but I just keep walking away from every Lions game thinking, man, they left so much more points on the board than they could have had 48, not 24, and they didn't. And I think they will get that figured out. I think they will come around. They kind of struggled a little bit last year with Tampa Bay in kind of a similar way.
Right.
But
hold on a second. You said it on another podcast. Are you on another podcast?
Are you cheating on us?
You two-timing
one
us?
of these episodes, Josh. One of these episodes.
I guess I don't remember you saying that. I thought we were going to have to get into contract negotiations with you.
We haven't had a chance to talk about this, but because I am Breaking Brad, I mean, one of the things I thought I might add to this podcast is like some facts, and numbers and things like that.
All right.
So I'll give you a number real quick that kind of doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And I'm sure you guys have all seen this. The Packers are number 1 seed at 4-1-1. They have 4 wins.
Yeah.
The other playoff teams, all of them, are 5-2.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. So they actually have every one of those teams has more wins than the Packers, and the Packers are number 1 seed, which is kind of weird. But anyway,
we can let them
just
enjoy.
Green Bay bias. That's what it is.
Hey, we can let them enjoy it for a week or two.
Seattle's another team that's surprising me. Have you guys seen that receiver they got? I mean, he's got 190 yards
Jackson's
more than any other
Jigma.
receiver.
He's really good.
Who are you talking about?
Jackson Smith-Njigba.
Oh, yes, for Seattle. Okay.
He's second place is 190 yards behind him.
Yeah.
It's amazing this early in the season.
He's the type of player to me. I look at him and I think of Jaden Reed for the Packers, except much better. He's an actual wide receiver 1. So
yeah, he's good.
Yeah, no.
Anyway, that's all.
But our wide receiver 1, Amon-Ra St. Brown, leading the league in receiving touchdowns at 7.
Yeah.
So
went from 6 to 7.
Yeah,
he's not too bad either.
Okay, Zoomer. Hey, Gen Alpha.
No, that was great.
Hey, kids.
Yeah.
Fellow kids, how's it going?
Yeah, right.
You guys have seen that part of this podcast today, right?
No.
They brought that up, the 6-7.
Jesus Christ.
But
No.
they both go, I don't know what it means.
It's funny. Complete off tangent. The whole 6'7" thing is just some basketball player.
Yeah.
That was I think at the combine, like at a draft combine a year or 2 ago, that somebody asked him how tall he was or something. He's like, I don't know. I'm 6'7", somewhere like there. Yeah. And that's it. And then
I know
it's what like people my age used to make fun of, like the number 69, except there's no sexual connotation or innuendo. It's just 6'7", 6'7", and I'm sure Brad hears Lila or at least Adele probably say 6'7" sometimes.
Oh my God, I'm so tired of hearing that, and I'm so glad she's not home right now to hear this call.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing about it is every generation has that little thing that the parents or the older crew look at and go like, "What is this mean? Why is this a thing?" Because it's so stupid.
But in our day, it made sense.
To us, yeah.
But here's the thing.
I don't understand it.
But here's the thing, Brad. That's what you say now. That's what Dad said when you were a youngin'.
Yeah.
And that's what probably Grandpa Archie said when Dad was a youngin'. And
so on
I
and
don't
so
know
on
what
down the
Grandpa's
line.
name was, but
Now take me away and pull me out of this funk. Wanna see the real spin and hear the coin so clunk. Put your money where your mouth is, I'll get all of that junk. So tell me now, are you feeling lucky, Paul?
alrighty. So now we're gonna take a quick visit to Cousin Lyle's Casino, and I emphasize quick. As we step right in, a little less smoke, maybe more older folks. Maybe we're there at 9 a.m. in the morning, Card tables really aren't open at that time, but Cousin Lyle, take it away.
All right. Well, welcome back to the casino. I know you guys are just kind of maybe taking your player's card and sticking it in the machine and finding out kind of what's been happening there.
Later.
Yes.
So we'll have to put it down later next week.
But yeah, just to kind of recap, I've got a recap of last week, and then I do have a season-to-date record so that we can kind of see where everybody's at. And Josh can't wait for this one. So last week,
Started off so strong, Josh.
for the Tampa Bay game, our first question of the day on that one was who's going to have more yards in this game? Is it going to be Detroit or is it going to be Tampa Bay? Now, I think that Josh and Jacob, you guys went first, and you took Tampa for various reasons on why you thought maybe the Tampa Bay Buccaneers would outgain the Lions. Brad and I jumped on the Lions bandwagon. So for this game, and I'm sure everybody knows, the Lions vastly outgained the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Real bad.
379 to 251 was the total on that in the Lions.
With only 43, I think, rushing yards from Tampa.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah, we're going to get to that one on the next one, but
sorry.
yeah, that's me and Brad taking home the chip on that one. And Jacob and Josh, you guys took the collar there.
That's okay.
Number 2,
Glad to be wrong.
Will the Lions defense hold the Buccaneers to under 100 rushing yards in this game? And yes, it was 41 yards. And as you said, Baker Mayfield, no rushes on this game. Rashad White was pretty much the entire, I think they had maybe a backup that ran once or twice, but only 41 yards on 11 attempts, I think it was.
Yeah.
So they didn't even try to run the ball after a certain point. And, of course, that was a sweep across the board. All 4 of us took the under on that one, and we were proven right. So that was a no-sweat bet on that one. Mm-hmm. Number 3, will the sun god rise again? Amon-Ra St. Brown over 80 yards and at least 1 touchdown. Well, he took care of this one in the first half, guys.
Yeah, he killed it.
86 yards and a touchdown. And yeah, he was coming out firing on this one, so he got that one really quickly, which means that Jacob and Brad both had yes on this one. So they get the win there. Josh and myself, we took no on that for various reasons, and we took the loss there. Finally, number 4, who does kick the longer field goal in this game? Is it Jake Bates or Chase McLaughlin? McLaughlin did kick a 53-yarder, so it's not like he wasn't in the game there. He's 1 for 1 for 53, but our man Jake Bates nailing it from 58 yards and scraping a little paint off of the upright in doing so. So Jake Bates, I was the only one that took Jake Bates. Everybody else took Chase McLaughlin in this one. So I take the victory on that one, which means that for last week, Jake, you had 2 out of 4 right. I had 3 out of 4 right. Nice. Brad had 3 out of 4 right. Josh, still not quite. Yep, give it up. 1 out of 4. Great job there. And what I want to do at this point, unless anybody's got any challenges to their name here, I'm going to put a season-to-date record on. Right now, so far for the year, we've had 23 different questions in the casino, different bets placed down by the boys in the casino for the 3 on the panel here. And then I do have Brad's record as well. He missed a couple of the weeks here, so he's placed a few fewer bets in this one. But so far, 23 bets for Jacob, Josh, and Lyle. Jacob, you are 10 for 23 on the year, 43% clip. Josh, 9 for 23.
Started so strong.
Did. I mean, my 3 out of 4 the first one, or is it 4?
I think you were 4 for 4 in the very first one. Yeah.
Dang it. That no sense.
For 39%. Myself, I'm 14 for 23, 61%.
The guy's doing all the research before asking the question.
So if you're listening to this and thinking about placing a few
fact.
bets, maybe, come this way. Brad, you're 8 for 16, so you're right and even at 50%. You're just losing that vig on your bets.
As the common moniker when it comes to gambling, house always wins.
Yes.
That's right. If you add those all up, the house is winning.
The house over here.
Yeah. As you can see, we are not Vegas sharps here. We're just Lions fans having fun and talking to other Lions
Says the
fans.
house.
Yeah, and true to the typical trend of somebody that goes to Vegas, you start out strong, and guess what happens?
Lose it all.
Yeah.
But hey,
you hit rock bottom.
that's a quitter's mentality, Josh. You got to keep going. How can
going.
you win a bet if you stop betting? You know what I mean? How can you win your money back if you stop? Just kidding. Once again, the podcast is not endorse any gambling of any kind unless we get sponsored by a sportsbook.
That's right.
And then they're paying through the nose.
So, we've got guys rest up, regather your funds, get ready. We got a second half going, and, we'll see if we can get Josh to turn it around here.
I'm without a job for the next couple of days. What are you talking about?
Well, the one thing I do like, though, is it seems like my picks are always kind of, sometimes they're homer, but I would say a majority is going to be, for the opposite of what actually happens, but for reasons of being a homer.
Yeah.
And I'm okay playing that role. If I got to say that, St. Brown's not going to get 80 yards, instead he gets 86, but he's going to get a touchdown just because we're going to have a short field, I'm okay. I'm okay with that.
I'm personally always happy to lose.
I'll just take your guys'
the casino.
Chips here.
So
Those are mine.
Yeah, you're good. The house wins always. But I'm always happy to lose something when I think that the other team, because I'm a realist guy. My friends come asking me for my bets on Lions games, and sometimes no, they tend to do pretty good.
We'll talk about later.
Well, because they'll ask me, what do I think, and I'll give them anti-Lions bets, like against them. I don't make those bets myself because I don't ever want to be happy. If I bet like Mike Evans 2 touchdowns, I'm like, oh man, yay, or bummer, he scored. But then I'm like, oh wait, I just won $50. Go put $10 on 2 touchdowns. You know what I mean? I don't want that to happen. So
that'll get you a couple of drinks at the field.
Yeah, and we do have a little treat for you shortly, but we might as well do some more housekeeping. So we're going to mix up the schedule a little bit. We're actually going to talk about Jake's lock of the game.
Jake's voice fills my head. Says he's got the government.
All right, now we're going back to Jake's lock of the game, which, once again, we're on a bye week. Ding. There is no lock of the game this week because you physically cannot bet on the Lions unless you do a futures bet, which I'm not doing. But yeah, so Lyle, what was my lock of the week this past week?
Yeah, so this past week, Jake went to the well, was looking for something that he had done previously, didn't happen, so thinking maybe it's going to happen again this week. The bet here was the Amon-Ra, or the lock of the week was the Amon-Ra anytime touchdown.
Yep. So it was one of those where, because Gibbs has kind of become the focal point of the offense, and once again, rightfully so, the offense still runs through Amon-Ra St. Brown first and foremost. He had a game not up to his standards last week. He had a big drop. He was angry about it, and you could hear in Lions media sessions, you could hear other sports podcasts and stuff based around Detroit sports talk about how angry Amon-Ra St. Brown is in the locker room, how he was at practice. It was kind of a foregone conclusion that he was going to pop off, especially against at the time, the 22nd or 24th ranked pass defense. St. Brown is a stud, 2-time All-Pro. He was going to get his, and once again, we have our wide receiver one leading the whole league in receiving touchdowns for the year. So
and the funny thing is, I think your lock of the week,
yeah,
the anytime touchdown, has been the first touchdown of the game in 3 consecutive weeks now.
That's crazy.
So, locking it up
I'll
early.
take it.
Somebody's on the phone with New York.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you have some stats for us to see how we're doing. So
yeah,
started out pretty weak in my lock of the game, but
I think at one point you were 1 for 4 and everybody was feeling a little low, but now made it up to 4 for 7, so you're over the 50% mark at this point.
Yeah, there we go. If you were betting my locks, that's money. And imagine that number could be one higher if I didn't get a little overzealous and make a little parlay in that Bengals game. Because Hutch did get his 2 sacks.
He did.
With that strip sack being his second. So no lock of the game this week, but Amon-Ra St. Brown touchdown. It did hit. Jake's plus money right now. Keep that in mind as we go into the second half of the season.
Montgomery running through the defensive wall. St. Brown catching every single call. Playoff bound.
So we got a little bit of a mix-up, right? We don't have a game to talk about. Obviously, we could talk about a game, the upcoming game we have against Minnesota next week. But there's not really a point to doing that right now because Minnesota still has a game to play. Things could change in their, roster. Obviously, we're still before the trade deadline, and the Lions have a bunch of guys hopefully coming back off injury after this week. So Cousin Lyle actually gave us some topics we can discuss really quick. Just get our thoughts on the season. Obviously, we have quite a first part of the season to reflect on. Some really high ups, some really low downs, some injuries, people coming back from injury, great performances, poor performances. So let's talk about we've had some really good performances. Let's go down the line and let's talk about who we think so far the 2025 Detroit Lions MVP of the season is so far. Once again, this is going off 7 games. We're currently 5-2. Top-ranked offense, pretty decent defense. Have some pretty big wins. So we'll start with Breaking Bread. Breaking Bread, which Detroit Lions player do you think is the MVP of the year so far going into the bye week?
Oh man, that's a hard question.
And remember,
ask.
this is the MVP for the team, not the MVP for the league, because obviously that would probably just be Jared Goff is the only one you could bring up because it's a quarterback award. So should have been Saquon last year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's in my mind, there's three guys that deserve it, and that's Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jared Goff, and Hutchinson. Because man, Hutch is he's causing havoc out there. Yeah, it's a tough question. I'm just saying those are the three guys I'd go with, but you probably have to go with Goff because he's the one who delivered it. St. Brown. I mean, one quick thing about Goff being MVP of the league, not just to the team. I'm really tired of the stereotype that if you can't run with a football, you're not an MVP. And because every one of the guys that are top MVP votes are always like Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, they can all run it. Man, Goff is freaking an awesome quarterback who delivers the ball and wins games.
The stats show.
So I don't get it.
Yeah, and in this last game, he put up a pedestrian 91.
He didn't
QBR, right?
Yeah. I mean, now granted, the
and he didn't have a great game, but it's still
still won the game.
Yeah.
And the Bucs were a top team in the NFL going into this game. There was like criticism of the Lions maybe haven't beaten the best opponents, right? Because we beat the Ravens and we did beat a more stronger Ravens team than we've seen the last couple of weeks, but the Ravens have Lamar Jackson on their team. They still have a pretty good, talented roster. They're just really underperforming. But at the time, that was a huge win, a massive win. Josh.
Well, Brad kind of mentioned the three that I was trying to kick around as well. But, I mean, let's get sentimental. Just say all 53 on the roster and plus the practice squad guys. I mean, every single one of those guys has been great. But if I had to narrow it down to one, and this one, it's tough for me because I just love the running back duo that we have. But Gibbs has been he's a
game changer.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah, it's once again, not to add my 2 cents to everything, but there is a comment. I was watching the was it Chris Long or was it? Yeah, it was the Chris Long reaction to the game, and the guy he was on with, I don't remember his name off the top of my head, old white guy, but it's one of those things that you can prepare for Gibbs as much as you want. Doesn't mean you can stop him. Yeah, I mean, you can't really game plan for that type of speed, right? And that burst and the cuts he makes. I mean, he accidentally breaks ankles out there.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't mean to, and it's like, oh shoot, I gotta actually cut. Nobody else can cut at that speed. And it's crazy. But
and he opens up the pass and he can receive the pass too. Mm-hmm. So I mean, he just has that positive effect. Nothing taken away from Goff or Amon-Ra, for the offense, and then obviously Hutch is a game changer on defense. So that's why I got to go with Gibbs.
Yeah, go ahead, Lyle.
You saw that stat I showed you earlier. I texted all you guys. I don't know how he didn't win the Player of the Week.
Yeah, that was garbage.
Beat McCaffrey in every one of those categories. Granted, it wasn't by much, but he still did.
Yeah,
and they had a bigger win. What the hell was that all about?
Yeah, I saw online somebody said, "What did they do their homework Sunday night?"
Right,
right. Left out.
There was a lot of chatter about McCaffrey in the game that he had. So he definitely had some momentum going into that. But you're right, Brad, to be better in all the categories and to be playing a higher opponent, a ranked opponent, then that is surprising. But that is the NFL sometimes.
Yeah. So. Cousin Lyle.
Yeah, I do think that we've named some pretty good ones, and I don't think you've got a wrong answer here when you go here. I'm going to go with Aiden Hutchinson. An interesting thing, the Lions offense, which everybody knows they're pretty much known for, DVOA right now I think is fifth offense for DVOA. Surprisingly, the Lions' defense is number one in DVOA at this time as we're talking. So, and again, it starts with Hutch, a guy that everybody knows they've got a game plan for. You watched it during this last game. It's going up against not only the tackle but usually a tight end, and then the running back chipping him on the way out, kind of a thing. just constantly doing that, and yet still leading the league in pressures, still, up there with all the sacks that he has, the way that he's able to come in and not only look for the sack, but look for the strip, getting the couple of fumbles that he's gotten on those strip sacks there. I just think that, he has played such a key part in an offensive league where everybody tends to focus on them for when it comes to MVPs and that kind of a thing. I think he's been their best player and their MVP so far this year.
Yeah. And I'm torn between Jared Goff and Aiden Hutchinson, but I'm going to take a crazy cop out. It says most valuable player. I'm going to pick a former player. For me, my MVP is really Dan Campbell. I mean, you inherit or you get assigned arguably the toughest schedule in the entire league. You get 2 brand new coordinators. You have a brand new interior of your offensive line, or at least the interior setup. Those are all very tough things to do, but Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, Sheila Hamp, really established a culture of next man up. We don't care. They go to work and grind. And at the end of the day, I think it also shows you, I think it's shown the league really just how good Dan Campbell is as a coach, because, for 2 years now, all you heard was Ben Johnson is the mind. Ben Johnson is, the Messiah. And, you still see a Lions offense, maybe they have a game like this Monday night, but guess what? The players step up. You have practice squad guys step up. You have guys who do their jobs. They don't complain. I saw apparently, allegedly, Jameson Williams made a sad post about his stat line, but
definitely some interpretation there. I think
some interpretation, and it could be a plethora of things. It could be, but at the end of the day, this is a very unselfish group of players. They went out and drafted their guys. They got unselfish football players. And really it's just Dan Campbell keeping the ship on the right path. There's been some adversity. They've been dealing with injuries. They, obviously have played some tough opponents, but they're finding ways. They hired Shep in, and Shep has been coaching his ass off all season. They've stopped some pretty darn good, offenses. They've kept some teams to some pretty low totals. And
we faced 3 probably the toughest running quarterbacks in the league
currently, outside of Josh Allen.
Josh Allen be the only one.
And we're gonna see Jalen Hurts and Jaden Daniels here back to back in a couple weeks. So.
And they've effectively shut him down. I mean, that was always our, how do we do this?
Right.
How are we ever gonna face or win a game against a running quarterback?
I've said it a million times. The healthy Baltimore Ravens team is maybe the single worst potential matchup. Outside of the Kansas City and KC, with the hometown refs, but allegedly. But
and real quick, back to your comment about the next man up comment. A lot of people can look at that as a negative thing, but think about what it's telling those players that aren't necessarily starters or getting a ton of reps. It's basically saying, we trust you guys out there. Mm-hmm. You guys can do the job. 100%. And a lot of people think from the perspective of, well, they're not our starters, they're not our shutdown. But Brad in the text during the game, what did he say? Hey, let's roll with these guys because they're doing it.
I mean, there is an argument that those guys played better. Than our starters have. And maybe we found diamonds in the rough, as Brad said. Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, Jake. I think you said it best earlier about Dan Campbell. The guy will not put a guy on his team that isn't willing to just break his neck for the team. And these are guys probably desperate to get jobs. I mean, you see the stats those guys had? I mean, it was amazing.
The most pass breakups since 1980 something for the Lions, or
the interception.
Yeah.
I mean, one of them led tied in leading tackles.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys were desperate to find jobs, and they probably got jobs now. It's like, put a motivated guy out there that's going to bust his ass out there for a job, and they found the guys to do it.
And the other thing I think Shep told them too is you're not just playing for this team, but you're playing for your career too, because you're putting tape out there that other people might say, hey, let's get that guy. If your temporary stopgap. And to the JMO thing, about breaking their neck for the team to for wins, I rewatched last week, and I'd forgotten he had a great game against Kansas City. So
we kind of forget that in the loss. Yeah.
So when it comes to that, the interpretation. Yeah, I mean, he was targeted twice. One of them was just an off. They just weren't in sync, and the other one was a real ticky-tack OPI.
Terrible.
Yeah. So
he also made a catch in the game, but it was called back on penalty.
yeah, that's what.
So they had 3 opportunities.
Literally Breaking Bad 3 seconds later.
Yeah.
So
It's all good. But yeah, so that's what I have. I have my ultimate cop out, just like how Josh almost copped out by saying all 53 plus the practice squad.
That's a good one. I like that one. I didn't even consider it.
It's a lot of kumbaya today.
Yeah.
Originally Shepard was in my head.
Yeah.
But I'm like, well, it says players. So
I mean,
he was a former player.
He was
as
a
well.
former. A lot of those coaches were.
Yeah.
But yeah, now we're going to pivot to the opposite end of that. We've seen some stinker performances. We've seen also some people kind of fluctuate, right? We've seen Jamison Williams have a crazy game. We've seen him have a bad game or a non-existent game. We've seen Montgomery go off against the Ravens and then nothing the next day or the next week. But what player stands out to you as somebody who needs to step up? And we're going to go in a little reverse order, keeping me last again. But who needs to step up going into the latter part of the season? We'll start with you, Cousin Lyle.
Yeah, so for me, and since I get to go first, I'm taking this one right away.
Yep.
This one is somebody that is especially, I think, under the spotlight after what we saw on Monday night, seeing players come out and making plays. I mean, when I get to see Nick Whiteside come off of, the scrap heap and then the
Kendall
practice.
Fuller yet. Yeah.
And make, the plays that he made in that game, and seeing Arthur Maulette come out there and make plays, and all these people you haven't heard of. We really need Terrion Arnold to come out and step it up
Come back
here.
swinging,
And I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm not saying let's give up.
We've
on
seen
him
the
and put
numbers
those.
of when he went out with injury, right?
I think he gets a bad rap. I think he is a good player. I just want him to become that special player, that somebody that, when we talk about the defense and we're talking about Hutch and we're talking about Campbell,
Derek Barnes stepping up this year, having some good games.
We want to say, and don't forget Terrion Arnold, who's just out there making plays and really, really shining. I think he is a good player. I think he's good within the system. Like we said, when he went out against Kansas City, that was a major loss in that game. But I want him to become one of those stars, one of those pillars that we can really count on, especially when we see what everyone else can do in this defense.
Yeah. Go ahead, Brad.
Real quick, Lyle. Think for 1 minute what Terrion Arnold's thinking in his mind right now after seeing what those backups did on the field.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
And not that he's like going to lose his job tomorrow, but if those guys can do what they did, and he can't in the near future, but I'm not saying that's the case. I mean, I think Terrion Arnold's a hell of a player. He's gonna get better. He's a great tackler. But I just, I'm just wondering if there's anything in his mind like, holy shit, look what these guys can do.
Well, there's a couple things, that could lend to that too, is his intro to the league was met by a bunch of penalties. Yeah. And so people are like, well, guess what? It's just like when Sue was on the thing. The other teams played toward where they knew they could take advantage of them. So if he can take away those advantages from them, which he started to do towards the end of last season. This season, I think there's been a couple that,
I mean, he had a pretty bad injury going into the preseason. So,
Well, Josh, in the last season, what did he end up having? 11 PIs?
Yeah, what's he at? 8 right now?
I think if you look at it, I want to say 9 of them were in the first 5 games.
Right.
Yeah.
After that, he only had 2 the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Now he's had some here, but I think it's also his reputation. I think the refs.
Yeah.
I also texted you guys about those 2 a non-pass interference and then a pass interference back-to-back drives. One was on Tesla. I can't remember who the other one was on, but they called it the Bucs way and not the Lions way.
Yeah, it was
because Tesla's not a name right now, and so they're starting to get into that. The NBA does that too much, and the NFL. I mean, I don't know, they do it too, but those 2 things are so obvious. And Terrion Arnold would have definitely got flagged on either one of those plays just because of his reputation.
Yeah, in counter to that, with his reputation and all that, these guys coming in and kind of filling in for us, they don't have as much tape out there. So, the opposing offenses, they don't necessarily know.
They'll challenge them, but then when they start making plays, maybe we don't challenge them. Yeah. Maybe they play clean. Maybe we don't challenge them.
And so, like, every time that you bring in a substitute, because of injury, they immediately throw to that spot because they might have tape on that guy. So, I'm not saying that they can't, come back and have the same dominant performance next week because now there's more tape out on them. Their play is good, was great, and however it's going to work. But, Terrian unfortunately just has that, like Brad said, that reputation.
This past week kind of felt like the Vikings game in week 17 or week 18 last year. Where it's like, oh man, we're depleted, but holy crap, how are we doing it? And we also kept them to 9, so under 10, which is crazy.
I thought the same thing, Jake.
Yeah. Also, the wrong week for me to drop them in their defense in fantasy and play the Steelers. The wrong week. Yeah. So we heard from Terrion Arnold over here, the guy who picked Terrion Arnold. How about you, Josh?
Oh, God. Since I love all 53 plus practice squad, it's hard for me to pick somebody.
Homer over here.
Yeah. As much as I love him in what he's done, I do think Jake Bakes needs to step up in a couple of those situations. He can make those. He can drill them from just out long. It was always that little short, chip shots that seems to throw him off a little bit. So it's. I guess that's my easy pick.
The nitpick there, but
I mean,
I can feel that.
That 57 was it 57, 58?
58.
Yeah, it did bounce off the goalpost. The crazy thing is his first one. I always have to look at the end zone and see what the reaction of the crowd is because we can't see it from the side view.
Yeah.
They were cheering like it was going in. So that first one hook.
Yeah, it had a funny spin on it. It was going sideways.
I thought it got tipped for a second with the way how it left his foot. Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't really see it.
He just didn't get it correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, think about it. The Lions haven't had an actual weapon at kicker since Matt Prater. Yeah. And when we got him, and he kind of played like that last year, it's like, holy crap, we actually now can score if we don't convert on fourth down, or maybe now we don't need to go for fourth downs, even though we always will because that's the identity of the team. But yeah, no, I'm with you. Jake Bates, we're not kicking as many field goals, but he has missed an extra point, at least one extra point, if not a second extra point. He's missed a couple field goals. It's things that we, can really, be there at the end of a game. So,
and I still trust him out there. It's just, just make that little correction.
Yeah. So, how about you, Brad? I hope you don't steal mine because I got a good one.
Well, I'll say this: I didn't even think about Bates, Josh, but you're absolutely correct, and Lyle's spot on with Terry and Arnold too. This might be a surprise one for you guys, but I'm going to say Johnny Morton.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. We said player, but to be fair, I also picked a coach for MVP. So.
And I'll tell you why, because we're not. Like I was saying before, I felt we could have scored 48. We're not getting there. There's probably only the one game, and that was against the Bears, that I felt like they really did what they could do. And I understand they're going to have lower scoring games sometimes, but they were in pretty damn good situations, and they didn't make it happen. Yeah. But my number one pet peeve with him is that, or I shouldn't say pet peeve, just because I think it's time for this to happen. He's got to get Damo involved. He's got to get. I mean, that guy is so fast, and look what Gibbs is doing. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I get it. Like, you can only throw the ball around so many. St. Brown's kicking ass, and I think he will have. But you got to get him involved. At some point in the game, just to make it a threat. That might have been why. Because I remember the interception was a throw to St. Brown. He was triple covered. You know what I mean? At one point, they're just going to key on St. Brown. Like you said, most of his stuff was in the first half.
Yeah.
And so
they keyed on
I think Johnny Morton got to start. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was agreeing with you. They keyed on him pretty hard in the second half and then started to run commit because, the Lions had the lead.
and J-Mo ends up with no catches. And I'll go one more. Tesla's not catching the ball a lot. and neither is
I don't think Tesla's getting a lot of targets though.
No, he gets like 1 to 2.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
Yeah.
But the point I'm trying to make is,
I get it.
he's only throwing to St. Brown.
Yeah.
St. Brown's the only guy. And you got to be more.
He's throwing to Brock
that?
Wright more than he's throwing to Jameson Williams.
That is true.
Yeah, exactly.
Brock Wright probably gets more targets per game than J-Mo, Khalif, and Tesla.
And I was getting a little worried that Laporta wasn't going to get that many targets.
Yeah. A lot of mouths to feed.
Yeah, I mean,
they tend to feed
exactly.
only one.
Good
That's my
problem to
challenge.
have.
Yeah, and it is interesting, and I don't know what the defenses are doing, but I know that at the beginning in the preseason, when Johnny Moe was talking, he was saying, we're going to try to incorporate more deep balls. So we're going to try to go more vertical, and instead it seems like it's gone the opposite way. It's gone, a lot of the more shallow stuff, the intermediate stuff that's always going to be there. That Goff loves,
that's Jared Goff's bread
right.
and butter. Yes.
But yeah, we definitely have not seen anything opened up. Opening up and taking vertical shots like they had said that they wanted to do when they started the season.
Well, first play of every game when Calvin Johnson was on the team, I always said first play every game needs to be a freaking 50-yard, 60-yard bomb to Calvin, and then open up the run. And
okay,
Calvin's going to come down. Calvin's going to come down with it. 9 out of 9.5 times.
Yeah.
So, if you did that with J-Mo, just send him on a wheel route and let him go.
Yeah, see, I'm not talking about that, though, because that's not dictated by Morton. That's dictated by the defense. They're playing – he's a threat, and that's why some of this inside stuff's happening. But once in a while, send St. Brown deep and send him on the slant route because – you've seen him catch that route, and if he gets it in the right spot, he's gone.
Yeah.
And St. Brown can't do that,
Seahawks last year.
So just get him involved. You just got to get J-Mo involved every single game. 0 catches is not on Jameson Williams. 0 catches is on Johnny Morton.
I like that. All right. So my pick is somebody I might get an interested look from one of you two. And I know he's been dealing with some injuries, but by the nature of how this roster is currently built, we have an issue if Taylor Decker goes down at left tackle. Decker needs to step up. Obviously, we saw him clutching his shoulder. He was not.
He said it
wasn't
feeling good. Yeah,
he wasn't feeling good. He's on the bit on the older side. But Penei Sewell's great. The interior obviously also needs to step up, but you have essentially 2 rookies playing there. But they're starting to gel a little bit better. I saw one of the most beautiful double teams I've ever seen on that big run by Jameer, by Ratledge, and Sewell. But we really need Goff's blind side to be properly protected. Now, I think no one here would say Taylor Decker is better than Penei Sewell. Penei Sewell's not even in his prime yet, and Penei Sewell's arguably the best tackle in football. But Decker's pretty good. He's a really commendable offensive tackle, but I think he needs to step up because Jared Goff is good against the blitz. He is not good under pressure. I shouldn't say he's not good under pressure. He can struggle under pressure, and especially if it's coming off the blind side, that's really tough for him. So I think Decker needs to step up because there's literally no one else behind him right now.
Right.
Manu's out for the season.
Well, how about this? Instead of Decker stepping up, his surgeon steps up. Performs a miracle surgery.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know because obviously we won't hear too much about it unless we go on a deep dive. I'm assuming that they really revamped their physical conditioning team and the Lions after what happened last year because that was just insane what happened. But I mean, at the end of the day, there's a lot of players that need to step up because this has not been a perfect season. Last season wasn't a perfect season. I mean, but the Lions, if we replicate the performance, they'd have to go undefeated going into the playoffs because we've already lost our 2 games that we lost last year. And I think we have seen some regression, but you have to assume with the new makeups at some of the positions, we have guys coming back from long-term injury, as well as the coordinators kind of them getting more familiar with the new schemes and whatnot. I mean, you would assume, especially with a supposedly weaker second half of this season, right, post-bye week, once we get through the Vikings Eagles or Commanders Eagles, you'd assume that the latter half of that, you play the Giants, you play, the Bears are kind of coming alive.
You wouldn't rest on the Giants right now for some reason.
So no,
Scatabo might
those exciting
wall.
whites, the CTE
That's right.
in human form. We'll talk about that. We'll see how many concussions he gets by now and then, but hopefully none, because don't want to wish that on anybody.
What's that X-Men guy with the helmet?
Magneto?
No, the guy.
Juggernaut.
Juggernaut. Yeah,
I'm the Juggernaut. God, one of the best and worst lines from X3 right there. But yeah, so a lot of players that need to step up. But it's funny. A lot of players I kind of want to say need to step up have also had some crazy games.
Yeah.
I was thinking like Anzalone needs to step up, but like he's had some 7-8 tackle games.
12 tackles.
12 tackles a
Stop
couple of
getting
weeks ago.
fined for a ticky-tack.
Yeah.
The refs need to step up.
They need to step up. And that's Josh's continued rant of the week.
It's never going to die.
Something's gonna rise. We're gonna feast. We're gonna feast.
Alrighty, so I think it's time for Dad's stuff because there's no score prediction this week.
Right.
Score predictions are not going to be, what was it, 48-0?
48-0 bye week.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of which, yeah. So, Lyle, do you have our scores written down? Do you want to just remind everybody?
Yeah.
I know we briefly touched on
Who
it.
came the closest?
Yeah, so are we just going right into it?
Yeah, just go
Okay.
go right into it.
All
Why
right,
not?
so again, everybody did pick the Lions last week, so we were all correct on that. The picks on this, we were all thinking a little bit more offense. Brad had chosen 34-17 Lions, Josh 34-20 Lions, Lyle 34-24 Lions, and I wrote Josh again, but that's Jacob, 31-28 Lions.
I was closer.
Yes.
people who
Yeah, Josh
don't.
was the closest. He was 14 points, and it was 15.
Yeah. People who don't know I have a brother named Josh still call me Josh. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's either Jake from State Farm or Josh. And I'm like, how do you know I have a brother named Josh? He's like, you have a brother? And I'm like, I got 3. But
Well, the fact that they don't know you have a brother makes me feel all nice and warm and fuzzy.
I talk about you guys all the time. Shut up.
So we were all pretty.
You
I mean,
bully.
we were all 10 points off from the Lions. Brad, Josh, and myself. Jacob, you were the closest on the Lions one because of the 31. But Brad, you were the closest as far as thinking that the Tampa Bay team was going to get shut down a little bit more there with your 17 as opposed to the 9 that they scored. So good job by everybody picking the Lions. We did not exactly nail the scores this week.
That's all right. The most important thing is we picked the Lions, and the
That's
Lions
right.
came through. That's the most important
And
thing.
everybody else pretty much had a 3-point game and is closer than we even had it.
That's
So
right.
We're closer than they are.
Yeah, so.
For the spread.
Josh, Jake's friends probably don't know he has a brother because they probably seen us with him, and they think we're his uncles.
And Brad's your uncle?
Well, cousin Lyle's wife, Lori, friend of the show, beloved friend of the show, often called my mother. Was like, oh, do you want to, what does your mom want? Whenever she would babysit us and take us places. I'm assuming when you guys would babysit us, they'd say the same thing. But I digress, That's what happens when I'm so youthful.
We
You
are
guys
family.
Steve's gonna blow your mind away.
And to wrap up the episode, we do have my dad, Josh's dad, Breaking Brad's dad, cousin Lyle's uncle-in-law, Steve, here with a crazy play on a bye week. So, Father, take it away, sir.
Okay. Let me at first comment a little bit about the game that I was at against the Buccaneers. Just one thing about the refs. Baker Mayfield went away complaining about the refs, just like we went away complaining about the refs with the Chiefs.
New York taketh and giveth.
I say the league is going to be a bogus league unless they clean that up. And what I think should be the goal is for both teams to go away from the game saying the refs did a good job. They should have that goal. And apparently they don't care.
Can I take it one step further, Dad? I think both teams should go saying they didn't even notice the refs.
That
Well,
that would be a better game.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
I'm okay with that too. So, anyways, enough about them because they are frustrating even to us.
Especially to us as Lions
Yeah.
fans.
Yeah. Anyways, a couple shout outs. One to Gibbs. What an amazing player. It gives you thoughts of Barry Sanders, really. Not as good as Barry Sanders, but I'll tell you
He's
what.
got a long career ahead of him.
He has some moves that are something that we don't always see. So we're lucky to have him. So shout
He's
out.
got some power too. It's not just all about the speed.
You're not the only one giving him shout-outs either. Barry did too.
Yeah. So, and then a shout out to the defense.
Lights out.
Two ways. The replacement players that came in that we didn't know very well
I think Gene Hackman called him in, huh?
was awesome. The only thing that I'll say about that is they need to go to school that you can catch the ball too, and we want the interceptions. So maybe the stickum might help them. I don't know.
Still banned.
But the one pick that everybody said initially was a catch, and then they overturned it and said it was an interception, was because they knew how to play that ball.
Yeah. So, anyways, a shout out to them. They were awesome. Shout out to the defense, period, because they actually showed how to stop a running quarterback. And Baker Mayfield was hot.
Coming into
Had
that
some
game.
good games, and
Front runner for MVP.
how they stopped them. I've been saying that for a long time now, and I actually saw a game that they were almost perfect at.
Yep.
That was
0 rushes, 0 yards.
And only 41
that's almost, I guess.
He
So,
could have had negative attempts.
so, anyways, those are the shout
Yards, not
outs.
attempts.
Those
Can
are the
make-
shout
That,
outs.
I know.
Yeah. Being a stinker over there, Josh.
It is crazy play
That's true.
section of the show.
Getting caught up in the
so
momentum.
Baker Mayfield's crazy play of the games, he will have negative rushing attempts.
So then I have a challenge for the Lions. When you think about them being in the playoffs and losing to the 49ers and losing to
I don't want to think about that.
Yeah, the Commanders.
That's in the
the
past.
Commanders, the thing about it was
the Washington football
they
team.
played kind of normal the first half, and then they lowered the boom the second half and played a lot tougher defense, a lot more physical, and that all leads out to the idea that Jared Goff does get bothered by that kind of play. So they need to work out where they can protect Jared Goff better, and that
Taylor
I've seen
Decker
that.
needs to step up.
Well, Taylor Decker, I would even wouldn't rule out putting some guy in from the defense to protect them at certain parts. That's the
Bring it in
crazy.
maybe as like an
There's-
X back in the backfield.
Yeah.
Do some William Perry stuff from the
Crazy play
1985
the game.
Bears.
That's a crazy idea.
Jack Campbell, personal protector.
You know, Dad. I'm going to back you up on this.
That'd be great.
That's not that crazy of a thing because
When I think about Hutch, you don't want to lose him, but man, he could tear people.
But
Tear 'em
I
up.
tell you,
I mean, I'd want DJ Reader because
Hutch
people running
playing
DJ
both
Reader,
ways.
they stop. They stop moving.
crazy play of the game. We cloned Sewell, put him on the other side. Did you see that one run where he just
Yeah.
So
slapped him?
Yes.
That was awesome.
Oh my God. it's
these
the
are
best.
all my thoughts. I have a few more, but you probably don't like them. So, anyways, what
Once
I
again,
want to
that's directed at me.
turn my attention to plays going forward. For the rest of your podcast, my play that probably you would say is crazy is I want them to practice on the flip. So I want them to, whether they win the flip or lose the flip, they still take the ball first. That's my crazy play for everything going
I
forward.
think they've gotten the ball first, like in the last 7 straight games or something.
Yeah,
I think
like
they've
that.
lost the coin flip. In the
And we
last-
do have a 5-2 record, so that's not so bad, is
Right.
it?
Yeah.
We had a 15-2 last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we started on defense most of the time last year, I believe.
Yeah,
We actually won some coin flips.
Well, we didn't get what I wanted.
Yeah.
That's what I want. I want us to take the ball first and set the tone. And I heard you mention about passing starting out. I really believe that passing
Should
is
be
really
95% of the play calls.
It's the asset of our team. The other teams have a hard time with it because we got great receivers.
What about our running backs? Our running backs aren't
I
good.
like well, that'll open it up for the running backs, and even passes to them are successful. I would like to see, maybe you're a stat guy, but what is the percentage of our plays that run up the middle?
I'd have to dive for that.
off the top of my head.
That'd be about 20%, if that. Now, if you ever figure it out, let me know, and I'll say I'm wrong. But
I mean,
I
Gibbs
get-
was up the middle.
Yeah,
78
that's
yards.
78
Yeah,
yards.
78 yards. Yeah,
that's one play.
Yeah,
That's
but
one
it's a
play.
big, well, let's remind
Montgomery's had
And then-
a lot of
and
big
then-
runs up the middle,
and then
a lot
his-
of 12-yard
his-
gains.
His second touchdown, he was stopped, and then he rolled away and got another touchdown.
Right.
He didn't go through the middle. He rolled away outside.
No, he bounced off the guy, but he was I think
He was
the intent
stopped.
Tackle
up-
box there.
He was stopped. So anyways, there's me there. But as for the plays going forward for 1 week, the Lions players should enjoy their family, play a lot of music, and then take
Some
the
good food.
time to watch
Coin
the
flips.
games. And
Go
I'm
to
not
Cousin
talking.
Lyle's Casino.
I'm talking about them spending time watching their counterpart on the Washington team,
The Commanders.
Commanders.
They're playing the Vikings next, though.
I know. Forget about that.
So you can watch both of them.
Concentrate on the Commanders and the Eagles. Those are the next two after that. We need them to really understand what the other teams are doing to them so they can be ready when those times come up and not have to do it last minute. So that's my thing there. I want to end this with this. You know, the league seems to have an issue with the Lions being so good. So I believe they want to hold them down for whatever reasons they have. You know, whether it's money or favorite teams or whatever.
I got one
But
for you once you finish.
I'll tell you about this team, the Lions. They give 3 game balls. Okay?
Sometimes they
The
get
first
2, but
one
mostly
was-
3.
Huh?
I didn't say anything.
I didn't say anything.
Okay.
Hearing stuff?
Anyways, the first one was given to Gibbs, which everybody agrees with, right? Gibbs went right over and gave it to Sewell.
Mm-hmm.
He gave the ball to him.
Yeah.
And, you know, is he selfish? No. There's a good example right there. The second one was who?
Was it Shep or was it?
They gave it to D. Barnes, right?
No, that was the third one.
That was the third one. Okay.
I can't think of who the
It should have went to Shep. I haven't seen the video, actually.
Oh no,
Well-
Barnes was going to give it to Shep.
No,
Okay,
that's the last one.
Oh, that's the
what
last
I was
one,
going to say. Barnes got the ball, which he doesn't get it that much anyways, and he went and gave it to Shep. And what did Shep do?
Might have
Give
been
it-
a Meek,
Give it right
right?
back to him.
Maybe a
I
Meek.
was wondering if it
It
was,
was a Meek, yeah.
Yeah.
The second game
Yeah.
ball
Was
was
it-
to a Meek.
I'll pull it up while Dad's finishing his thought because I
Okay.
haven't seen it yet.
Anyways, what my point is, the Lions are full of great people. Full of great people. For the
Great
league,
culture.
the league to go down on them like they do
Uh-oh, can we say that?
is unfair.
What do you say?
Nothing.
What?
Keep moving forward
I didn't hear what it said. Down the field?
down the field. Yes.
Forward down the field.
I honestly didn't hear it.
Yeah.
But
Anyways,
anyways, you got people that are getting the game ball and they're giving it up to their teammates.
Yeah.
What kind of team people you want on your team? Those kind of good people.
it's the culture.
Yep.
But
St. Brown is one that gives it up quite a bit, and he gives a lot of compliments to Goff.
Yeah.
Yep.
And people want to rag on Goff because he has a bad game or the other team is just playing him better or whatever. And Goff's not going to be perfect all the time. I love Goff, but anyways, Brown is a great complimenter of Goff, and I think part of St. Brown's success is Goff and how well they're good together. So anyways, Dan Campbell's created the culture. And he's got people there that are unselfish. They're on the field blocking when maybe they wouldn't want to block and get hurt.
Yep.
So,
well, you ready for this?
My power to the Lions.
This is actually something I told somebody today. Is when JMO got called for that OPI, I'm like, okay, crazy conspiracy theory, tinfoil hat deal. The Lions got defeated by the refs. What ended up happening is essentially they got exposed for New York calling, right? So everybody was saying the Lions were going to get the benefit of the doubt on the calls this past game. So how else can you tear down the Lions now? You have to destroy them within.
That only lasted maybe the first
quarter.
But
you destroy them within. So how do you destroy them within? You make JMO get ticked after he just signed this big contract, and maybe he starts pouting and stuff like that. But JMO also has been on the record for saying, hey, we're winning. So there's no selfish attitude there. So the Instagram post, whatever it was, like interpretation like we talked about. But in this case, you're right. The culture that's there is what's going to make this team the team that everybody wants.
You guys made a lot of good comments about Hutchinson, and he's a part of that. You know, he gets the accolades or whatever, but he's there helping other players be better.
Could I interrupt really quick to pivot to 5 minutes ago? It was Jahmyr Gibbs, Derek Barnes, Jack Campbell.
Okay.
It was Jack Campbell?
Mm-hmm. Campbell,
yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Also deservingly so. Yeah.
Jack Campbell's been playing better.
He's playing at an all-pro
every
level
game.
right now.
I mean, he's not going down. He is
part of the seatbelt gang now.
Yeah, true. Yeah. He's getting a little bit of that swagger he gets made fun of for not having it.
Right.
I'll tell you what was great though is after they did call it an interception, the entire defense went down.
Yeah.
I think a couple of them
that's actually my favorite thing. The little change in celebration is getting the whole defense involved because interceptions are a lot of times really a team effort.
Yeah,
you know,
got coverage. They can't throw to that guy, so it's the guy that makes the play.
A rush from the interior, but yeah. So, Dad, any quick couple second final thoughts before we wrap up today's episode?
Well, I just want to say again that since we don't have a game next week, then practice the coin flip.
Okay, practice the coin flip. You heard that, Detroit Lions. Practice that coin flip,
Trying out right now.
I'm sure there's a way to make it less than, to increase the chances from 50-50.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
I guess there's a once in a million that it lands on its side. But
loaded, hear me out, loaded quarters.
Loaded quarters. I don't think the NFL will allow that unless they're in Kansas City. But all right, everybody. So that was our bye-week spectacular of Outside the Den, Inside the Barn. The podcast made for Lions fans by us Lions fans. My name is Jake.
Halloween. You want to say something about Halloween?
Great point, Dad. Look at Crazy Steve keeping it on.
Keeping us on point. He didn't even have a script.
Yeah, that's right.
Please join us next week for our Week 9 game, our Week 9 episode, our Halloween spooktacular. Some spooky surprises in store, I guess.
we got to plan it out.
I'd like to be Herman Munster.
You better get in the make. We'll get you in the makeup chair. But yeah. So once again, please tune in next week. We'll have some fun. We'll obviously review the Minnesota Vikings game. We may have some little surprises in there as well as a boost in our subscriber count and views. Right? So please keep subscribing. Please tell your friends. Please tell your grandparents. Tell your mother and father-in-law. I don't care if you don't like them. Tell them anyway.
3 away from a giveaway.
3 away from the giveaway. But you do have to comment.
Comment. What's your favorite Lions memory? Why are you a Lions fan? Comment below.
Like, subscribe, and
smash that like button. All the push to action. But once again, thank you for watching. This is Outside the Den, Inside the Barn. We'll see you next week. Josh, sign us out.
Spooky.
One pride. Go Lions. Screw you, bye week. We beat you this year.
Notice he was looking at me when he was saying it.
I was looking at Jake.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
that's a lazy eye.
And good night, everybody.
What's he doing?
You made him cry.
No, I didn't. How did I make him cry?
Broadcast over. Signing off tonight. Wyatt Intimation. Everything's alright. Tonight, Lions Nation, everything's alright.
Still can't look past the Vikings. They're
in
NFC North opponents. So we have to
they're a must-win game.
Is there any? Do you have any rules? Do you have any rules? Neither do I.
This team has one rule: ELE. Everybody love everybody.
Oh!
Such a good movie.
I want to end this.
Jackie Moon.